Good morning, everybody. Mic check. Mic check, truck 1, 2. Can you hear me in the back? You good? All right, awesome. Hello, welcome, good morning. Welcome to our second Tech Innovations Breakfast. Last year was the first, I believe. Yes, awesome. Concrete has been integral to the building human civilization for a millennia, probably more. World of Concrete hasn't been around that quite long. However, this event does mark an impressive feat. It is celebrating its 50 years. In the 5 decades since the first World of Concrete, the technology we use to manage ready-mix concrete production and delivery has come a very long ways, vastly different. Advancements like mobile manufacturing, cloud-based systems, e-ticketing, just to name a few, there's probably millions more, right? Are helping businesses boost efficiency, quality, and their bottom lines. And newer technologies, such as artificial intelligence and machine learning, are being harnessed to meet the demands of today and the challenges of the future. We're happy that you can join us today as our expert panel discusses the evolution of technology in the ready-mix concrete space and what emerging technologies will continue to transform the industry. My name is Jonathan. I've met a few of you today already. I'm the editor for Concrete Contractor and Rental Magazine for constructionpros.com. Again, thank you for joining us today. I'm sure there are a lot of questions, like how technologies are linking together. What kind of opportunities does the data on the concrete in transit provide? How AI is being used at the plant? And I know anything with artificial intelligence gets my attention because I'm a nerd. We've collected a great group to talk towards these issues and topics and get a lot of these questions explained. All these companies collectively together have over 50 years of experience. So that's kind of a synchronicity right there. 50 years of experience, 50 years of work of concrete right there. So let's take a trip down memory lane. In the 1970s, concrete production process used electric controls and human input, focusing on enhanced precision and consistency in concrete production. In the 80s, concrete production saw the integration of advanced technologies. We're already improving only a decade afterwards, such as computerized systems that enhance the controls over mixing and production processes. In the 90s, operators witnessed a notable shift towards user-friendly interfaces and data-driven decision-making with sophisticated software and control systems. And it kind of makes sense. In the 90s, we got a lot more computerized and digital, and we got a little bit more, friendly with computers. In the 2000s, significant transition towards digital solutions, enabling operators to efficiently manage production and leveraging advanced automation with integrated computer systems and real-time monitoring. Now we're getting to the point where things are going a little bit above my head, but I recognize these words. In the 2000s, everything became a lot more internet-based and a lot more user-friendly, and it needed to be. And it's really exciting to see that the concrete production world took that and ran it, even though the rest of consumers didn't even know. We were just worried about our Apple iPhones. In the 2010s, it was the era of connectivity, allowing operators to remotely monitor and adjust operations for enhanced productivity and quality control with centralized control through computerized interfaces. Currently, concrete production has embraced cutting-edge automation, integrating artificial intelligence and machine learning for predictive maintenance and optimized production workflows. I'm really excited to find out what that means because I know a little bit about it. I hope you guys explain it a little bit more. There also has been a heightened focus on sustainability with systems enabling precise material usage, energy efficiency, and reduced environmental impact on concrete production. These cutting-edge technologies are making a significant leap towards the future of automated construction processes. Today's innovation breakfast is being recorded. There's a few cameras dotting around, and there's our wonderful gentleman right there. Without further delay, let me introduce our panel of experts. With me today is Dean Maris, the Chief Data Science Officer at EROAD. Dean is the co-founder of Cortex, a telematics company acquired by EROAD in 2021. Dean moved to the US in 2014 from New Zealand, of all places, where he was the CEO of an Australiasa, or International Telematics. In the US, Dean has launched the company's North American operations for construction materials and built up direct sales for in-cab refrigeration. As Chief Data Science Officer, Dean leads the development of data science strategies and technologies for EROAD, which includes working with customers to understand and solve for their unique needs. He has a double degree in marketing and economics from Otago University, is that right?
Yeah, that's right.
And is a graduate from the Harvard Business School of Analytics, graduating with distinction. Welcome to our panel. We also have Craig Giatec, president and co-founder for the BCMI platform. Craig is the CEO and, I skipped that, which is dedicated to, BCMI is dedicated to reinventing the construction materials business with modern mobile and cloud-based systems. Craig has held leadership positions with both construction materials producers and software providers. Joining us is also Andrew Davis, the product manager at CiDRA Concrete Systems. Andrew is an experienced professional manager with a demonstrated history of working in the ready-mix concrete industry. Skilled in general management, negotiation, operations, sales, and business development. Are there any skills that you're not involved in? Jeez.
I do it all.
See a cartwheel or something. He's focused on using data to grow business. So he's a perfect participant for the panel here. We also have Sarah McGuire, AVP of Business Development at Giatec Solutions. Sarah has been with Giatec since the 2015. She has played a pivotal role in transforming Giatec from a startup into one of Canada's fastest growing companies, holding various key leadership positions in sales and business development as the company grew. Sarah's commitment to growth is further underscored by her recent completion of a Master's of Business Administration from the University of Queens in January last year. So congratulations. Pretty good. Yes. And rounding out today's panel is Alex LeBlanc, EVP of Client Strategy and Industry Partners at Marcotte. Alex is a visionary leader in the field of concrete production. As the Executive Vice President at Marcotte, Alex spearheads the company's sales and business development efforts, driving their mission to revolutionize the control and automation of concrete production. Under Alex's guidance, Marcotte's groundbreaking M-Batch system has been successfully implemented across more than 1,500 concrete plants in North America. Which sets Marcotte apart is pioneering the AI-enabled batching system, a world first in concrete production. This cutting-edge technology delivers real-time, 24/7 precision in materials consumption and ensures consistent mix designs, setting a new standard in the industry. All right, and here comes the questions. So I hope all your jitters are away. For everybody here, each of our panelists represents a specific area of expertise. However, this issue involves all of us and the producers we serve. We'll give each panelist an opportunity to provide insights into new technologies and how they're becoming more connected and how they can predict this will bear out for this materials producers through the next years. I'd like to start with Andy. CiDRA's Smart Hatch system collects data from concrete in transit. Given the move toward interconnected systems, what are the potential opportunities for concrete quality control?
Yeah, they're just tremendous, really. I think in the next 5 years, we can learn more about concrete than we have in the past 5,000 years. We're really just scratching the surface with the ability to get accurate and precise information about our product. So we kind of have a confluence of a few major things going on right now where we're getting more accurate, more precise information about the product. For instance, with Smart Hatch, we're now testing concrete between the batch plant and the job site. So we're seeing live dynamic changes in material as it's being transported. So that's a whole new world of data for us to look at, right? It's accurate and precise, it's high volume data, and now we're going to combine that with these new tools like machine learning and large language models to really analyze this data and do something with it. So precise and accurate data, high volume of data, tools to analyze it and use it. So I clearly need to use one to update my bio here, I think, but other than that, it's going to be hard to know what's coming, right? Because we're going to learn so much so quickly about this, and we're going to have to adapt. I think Marcotte gave a great presentation yesterday where they really talked about working with the customers, helping them adapt to the change that's coming with this. Because that's going to be a big part. Are people going to take this information, use it because it has ecological impacts, economic impacts, really across society with this material that is so prolific every day. It's a thousands-year-old industry that is slow to change, right? When I was in the ready-mix business, we were a 120-year-old company, so the way we always did it meant a mule pulling a cart full of coal. And it's so hard to get change to happen. With companies that have such liability in everything they do, they take on risk every single time they send that truck out there. So, they're very concerned about this, right? They have an important product that keeps society running and alive. So they're, understandably risk averse. And I think that's really up to us to coach them along, help them understand how these tools really help them, how they can make a great impact very quickly.
I think it's a great point that you said everybody's risk adverse, because I keep on hearing engineers are the ones that are risk adverse. And everybody kind of glosses over that the materials producers are tasked to make sure that their material is top notch. So those engineers, they're all scared and making sure that things are safe, but the material needs to make those specs, and you got to make sure that those are there. So thank you. And for Dean, a major point is increasing efficiency in trucking. So let's get those materials to where they need to go, right? We want to utilize the real-time data from truck tracking, transportation analytics, customer tendencies. From the perspective of collecting and communicating truck data, how can producers find the efficiencies? What opportunities does AI bring to this equation?
Okay, guys. I'm going to put a word out there: multimodality. Multimodality is a word we wouldn't have even said a year ago, and that is text, voice. That's data from batching, dispatching, quality control here. That is going to be in your second nature within 2 or 3 years. You will know what this means. And that what it means is that it contextualizes text, data, voice, and all these pieces that we need to collect to make you as producers more intelligent. Actually make the dispatcher combined more intelligent, 30% more intelligent. Not replace them, but make them 30% more intelligent. So you imagine someone who's actually is part-time, has the data, is now getting generative information through text, data, that's just cameras, it's in the mobility side. We have to bring the data to the dispatch systems. We have to bring the data to the batching system in real time. And so what's amazing with like the chat GTPs and those types of things, they've invented agents. Agents are a thing that teach you it actually personalizes information. So now you have a dispatch system that's personalized. What your team will do, they'll build a relationship with this information. It's not a chatbot, it's actually data that will bring information in real time. Yes, it's going to be in our system. Yes, it's going to be in Craig's system. And yes, it's going to be in everyone's system. But that's the power of integration. And I think the biggest thing here for you in this is the integration. This is the power now. 2024 is the year of integration of data. Data is a domain. So when you talk about domain, you're talking about a contract. Data that you trust. It's going to this place and this place that you trust. That's our job. And honestly, that's where we're going to go. And I'm super excited. Yes, you're going to do DVIR, driver vehicle inspection reporting. Yes, you're going to do all the things that make the driver feel special and feel trusted and trust the data. So that is the next piece we're doing.
I think you bring up an interesting point where the person behind the computer is being more intelligent, because the artificial intelligence is now turning into a tool instead of taking away that human side. It's just giving data out. It's making them more intelligent so they can make more educated decisions on the process and what they need to do.
And I'll give an example. Like today, so we're about to launch in 2 months. So I have a contract ABC. And we look at, and we will literally give you the last 45 days of the profile of 1 to 9 or 10 or whatever tickets, 200 cubic yards. And you're going to see over time, like the number 6 job, they're slowing down. They've got a subcontractor slowing down, and now it's affecting, and now we could have done another job. And our job is to now go, guys, it's time to do another job over here. And that's why it integrates with the dispatch and it integrates with the batching. That's the biggie. That's the biggie, and it's so damn exciting. So horizontal integration and vertical integration is very key.
I do want to thank you for the new Scrabble word. So I might actually win a game.
But yeah, team of two. You go. I learned to work.
Sarah, we're hearing producers are eager to take advantage of new technologies, including AI, to optimize their quality control data and mix designs. What are the next steps producers need to take beforehand to take advantage of this new technology? Can you share what the experience has been like with what your first set of customers was like, and what was the biggest misconception users have had before adopting, and afterwards?
I'm gonna need you to go through one. You're gonna have to prompt me with those again, because I'm gonna lose.
I think I asked like 8 questions.
That was a lot, yeah, so we'll give it a go.
All right, let's start with what do producers need to
do.
do beforehand to take advantage of technology?
I didn't know that I was going to be asked right after the two of them over here, but it's a good segue into what Andy and Dean have just described. When Giatec came into the market, Giatec is most known right now for our sensor technology that goes into the concrete, detects strength in real time so that you could take quick actions instead of relying on cylinder brakes. And that tool is benefiting from over-design, because contractors are able to move faster, not because your concrete is getting magically stronger with the sensor in it, but because you're now able to detect it earlier. What we ended up with was this giant database of sensor data from all over the world of over-design mixes and the material proportions that actually contribute to that. And we started to create algorithms to generate some optimizations and take it kind of to the next step. But when coming into this market, the first integration partner that we had was Marcotte. And we were a little spoiled, I would say, in working in that way, because we were not so aware of how everything was not in the cloud and everything was not integrated and data was not being collected from the past, like air in the trucks. Well, now this is a real thing that we're getting, but it's only been in the last few years that we're collecting that. So how do we optimize for air if we don't have data to consume to do that, let alone where it's being stored right now? That is a beast in itself, but there's so much data that we're now realizing when it goes into optimizing, it just doesn't exist because we haven't been tracking that. And it's pointing out some gaps, and we're still seeing that needle moving farther, but to Andy's point, we don't know what we don't know, and all of a sudden we're discovering all of these things of more opportunities in the market for innovation, and we're working with the partners that can help us get that data to be there. But this is an industry lift. You know, we come into a market and we're so reliant on this data coming in one place and being consumed really quickly, but that's not something that we can fix on our own. This is why we have these panels, this is why we have these discussions, why we're partnering with these companies to raise that awareness and kind of work together to bring everyone in the cloud so that we can have the data leveraged in a way that actually makes sense. You know, CiDRA is tracking air and we're getting telematics from EROAD, but it's not coming into the right place. How can we do anything with that in such a reactive industry? So that's kind of the first step that really needs to be solved. So we're kind of on the quality control, you know, we're optimizing, we're helping people manage their mixes, and there's so much opportunity in shaving, so even to just get a couple dollars per cubic yard off of a mix. We all know that we can cut cement tomorrow and re-yield pretty easily, but we're not doing it because the data's not there to back us up. So we're at this kind of tail end, really relying on what the industry has done. And fortunately, they have huge customer bases already that we can piggyback off of, but we're really only scratching the surface. And we're just talking North America right now. Just wait till we go to global domination after. That's the dream, right? But
She said global
global
domination.
domination. So that's the long-term goal, but it's, you know, the contractors that have to request this, it's the specifiers that have to come out and say we don't need this over design. It's the partners in here that we all kind of have to work together to make that happen. In terms of the first experiences for our customers, it's been overwhelming is a really good way to put it, because we're working with a lot of companies where their data is scattered and we're helping them bring it all together in one place. And they're kind of overwhelmed with all of the results that they're getting and all the optimizations that they can take, because they need to know where it's coming from. And we're now giving them the ability to investigate it all in one place. So all of that break reports, where it's coming from, which lab it's coming from, which contractor, we can actually bring that all into one place. So we can get rid of some of that mundane tasks that they're doing today and give them more time to actually make more of an impact in shaving costs off their materials. The way that our system is set up is we're trying to have it in an automatic way where once you're given a few optimizations, our algorithms are actually saying, you know, here's 10 mixes that are overperformed and here's 5 mixes that we have enough data on, enough confidence in that you can take them at face value and push them. That's a huge step for our industry to get used to, but so far every single one of our customers have done that in the first 2 months of being on the system. And it's not across the board. There's prescriptions that are in place, there's, you know, constraints that we have, customers that need to be spoken to so that they're aware that the mix is changing. There's a lot that kind of goes into that, but to have even in the most highly prescriptive markets for people to have been able to just take a suggestion, push it back and start using it the next day, that's really, really cool. But we have a long, long way to go, and we have a lot of data that needs to come into the system to kind of keep pushing that needle forward.
What were some of the misconceptions when you first brought this to your customers?
AI is going to take my job. That's a big one for sure. You know, oh, you're going to replace quality control if we're putting this in. Absolutely not. I mean, first of all, the point of we don't have all the this industry has been so reliant on gut feel and what we see. We're relying on people, truck drivers, to look at the slump and say that's a 3-inch and move forward. So we're not documenting that, we're not reporting that, but that's innate knowledge that we just know. So even if we could collect, you know, all the data and actually put that all in one place, there's still so much that isn't really data driven in this industry. There's a lot that QC experts know just innately, this customer is going to react this way. They use this lab over here, they're traditionally underperforming on their breaks. These are things that we can't really build into a system, so there's always going to be a need for that person to sit there and analyze everything and take it. But what people are now realizing is the AI is actually doing a job that they just didn't have time to do before. Or it's doing a job that they complain about, and now all of a sudden, you know, they get to have a whole day of just working on how can I make more money and how can I drive more profit, it's kind of opening up a new door for them to be a little bit more creative with what they're doing and make more of an impact and be a little less reactive. But still, it's a long way to go. But that fear of it's going to take my job, it's actually just kind of bridging that gap of some of the things that are not necessary for our experts to be doing day to day. They should be working on the things that can propel us forward.
I really hope in like 15, 20 years, we come back to this innovations tech breakfast and I go through that timeline again. And it's like, okay, now in 2020, this is what was happening. And
Right.
so that's really good.
With world domination.
Yeah,
Yes.
we'll be global domination.
Right. The world will be covered with concrete. And it'll
We have a
be,
robot up here actually works for Vegan Club.
yeah, there you go. Robot to do it.
Robot moderator.
Yes.
No.
Perfect.
No.
Controlled by a human.
Controlled, exactly. Superhumanized. There you go.
I think the change was certainly exponential.
Oh, yeah.
Hold up, you'll see this 24, 25. AGI, artificial genome intelligence is going to come between that. So that means that that being is going to be as intelligent, more intelligent than a human. And so you're going to be able to rely on this as I said, 30%, 30%, 30%. So just keep going with this.
Technology is moving fast, friends.
I do want to ask, this is a perfect time to ask, Alex, how do you foresee advanced automation technologies like machine learning and artificial intelligence impact our concrete production processes?
Yeah. Again, machine learning, like before the technology we were saying back in the 70s, 80s, and 90s, machine learning, we all have this big buzzword on AI, ChatGPT, but it's actually pretty amazing technology. This technology has been around for more than 40 years, right? This is a proven science. Problem is that we didn't have the computing power, right?
Yep.
The 2000s brought that computing power, brought that, again, be able to gather a lot of data. When you look at machine learning today, it's proven, right? We're able today in the concrete production process to solve challenges and problems and inconsistency, right? So we're solving problems even before they're happening because machine learning is built that way, right? So we're gathering all this data, and what we're seeing, especially when we're talking about automation, a human input is an inconsistency in an automated process, right? What we're seeing now is on the batch plant level, we're reducing the need for that human expertise, right, of monitoring your batching process, right? How many times do I see on the plant acknowledging out of tolerances, right? Mm-hmm. The technology that Marcotte was providing was very limited based on all the variability that was happening at the production process, right? We were talking about it yesterday, but flow rates has major impacts on being able to be precise. So for us, machine learning has clearly proven, right, that it's bringing that production efficiency towards accurate dosing or accurate batching. This is just the beginning, right? This is a proven concept. It works. It's great. We're reducing the expertise needed on site. I'm not saying we're going to be replacing human beings, right? That's not what we're saying. We're just saying that the human being will be probably valued somewhere else in that process. That brings us to the big subject of integration, right? We come up to a point where our big dream at Marcotte is for sure the autonomous batch plant. Is that going to be 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, 25 years? We don't know. It takes a long time. It takes a lot of data, right? It makes precision. Interoperability of systems and devices is so crucial, so crucial in this path, right? Let's call it we're seeking the perfect mix. How do we get there as partners here in this whole process to bring that perfect mix? Interoperability is the answer, right? It's as we're growing, machine learning is always self-learning, as you know, guys, right? It just gets becomes better and better and better every day. As we evolve, we'll need more data points. We'll need more variables from all these processes to be able to ensure better predictability across the board, right? We need to solve those problems before they appear, right? So if Giatec is sending us an optimized mix design, we'll optimize production towards that mix design. So now you understand the reliability of your production, right? Now we have real data that we can actually learn from and get better at it. So it's gonna disrupt, I call it disruption, because it's gonna change the way we produce concrete, certainly in a certain way, right? In the upcoming years, we're gonna see a change of how we actually produce concrete. And even today, we've seen these type of technologies that bring added value, such as remote batching operations, right? Now mobility is also kicking in now, where you're changing the ways of, rather than having an operator monitor your production, you can trust AI that's going to solve those problems. So now you have people sitting down in front of 20 screens monitoring 20 batching systems. It's a centralized point of monitoring your concrete production, right? So that's kind of how we see the evolution of production, right, based on AI, ML, and most of things. And again, it's AI applied. We're not saying that tomorrow morning the human being is not required, right? It's the repeat tasks that are clearly better managed by all this data that we're gathering.
And adding to that, just I really want to bang a point here, guys, is that, guys and girls, that LLMs, right? So there's language, natural language.
Yep.
What you're going to see is large action models. So things that will action literally automatically. So you've now got a human understand, oh, I need to know this, I need to know that. They can ask that question and they're going to get it. But what's going to happen is now you're going to get LAMs, large action models. And that batching with Joel's vision, it's going to happen. And it's going to happen probably in the next 24 months.
Yeah, definitely. It's moving fast, but
yeah.
And
Yeah, we can thank, AWS and Amazon, all those guys.
we can certainly thank the cloud, the computing, the
Those guys are
cloud,
amazing.
and the interoperability. Like I said, the interoperability of systems and devices. I mean, you come in tomorrow morning and you put in a piece of technology, a new data point on QC, and it's really easily integrated in the process, and then everybody's learning from that piece of data, right, or that optimized piece of data, and brings our machine models better. Our patterns get better, right? So.
It can't be as just simple as going to the store and buying a new, computer from Best Buy or something like that. What's it like to integrate a new technology into a plant, producing plant?
A little painful.
30 years.
It's new. It's new.
30 years of experience.
30 years of experience. It's again, we talked about it yesterday, and my colleague Ray did a very good presentation on that. It's kind of the change manager, right? AI is a disruptive technology. Guys, think back in the 90s. You guys remember when we came up with computerized systems? Just the people, the operators, they were scared. Like, I mean, you're changing the way I'm doing things. I'm better than a computer. I'm faster than a computer. I can be more precise than a computer. These guys were like, hey, I know my batch plan. Problem is, the guy knows the batch plan. What about the next guy? What about the next guy, right? And so forth. So AI is a bit like that, right? Where there's a challenge in implementing, but it's not technological, I would say. It's more, again, it's the social aspect of like, wow, this is probably doing a better job than I am, right? And we're proving that. So it certainly scares, because again, in a certain way, it's not defined. We're still learning, right, how to better, or the best practices behind implementing AI, right? We're still learning from that. And again, there's change management approaches and methodologies that we can help organizations get into that. But to the technological side of things is when your machine learn, like when your, and Dee said well, when your algorithms are built, right, there's a process of learning from the batch plan, right? So there's a certain amount of time where we have to actually learn from what's actually happening in the batch plan before we enable our algorithms, right? Because we have to have that data. So when you look at how seamless it is, it's pretty seamless. It's the concept of saying, oh, I don't have my human experts anymore, setting parameters, adjusting, always too late, right? We're looking at the eyes and, oh, yeah, we need to apply this corrective measures, and then we have that human expertise that goes on site and tries to play around with parameters to make sure that it's optimized. All that is kind of replaced with, but it's, like I said, it's more the change management that's a challenge versus the actual technological piece.
One of my favorite stories of how technology advances is taking the people with 40 years of experience, and they're like, I'm hitting the end of my career, I want to do something else, and they say, there's a better way to do this.
Mm-hmm.
And let's do it with the technologies and the tools that we have available. So boom, we have innovations, and here we are sitting talking about technology innovations.
That's a good point. Sorry, I just want to add in, because like Alex is saying, we're dealing with change management, but we are dealing with a changing workforce as well. newer generation that's coming in is going to expect. Imagine you're sitting and you're in the CIM program and you're sitting there, you're taking all of your notes on your laptop, everything's perfectly connected and we're zooming in and everything. I was with a couple of the CIM students and a couple of nights ago, and they're so advanced. And imagine what they are going to feel like when they walk into a plant and they're dealing with software that is so foreign to them because they do not operate with any of this in their personal lives today anymore. And that is a huge key. It's a huge challenge that they're trying to overcome even in the school system right now to get them ready for, we know that you guys are all innovative, but we actually have to take you back in time now. This is going to deter the workforce that we're trying really, really hard to educate right now.
Can I go on
Yeah.
Can I say a statement? AI will not replace humans. Humans using AI will replace humans.
Exactly.
That's the big one.
And AI is not going in.
And this is a perfect industry that can do this. So humans using AI will replace humans. And that's the big one. We've got the opportunities for, as producers, to get incredible savings in little areas. And AI is so good at solving little things, little nuggets. So it's not going to be the biggie. It's not going to replace everything. It's not going to get it right. And by the way, it's not free because it uses a lot of compute. So don't think this is going to be free, guys. And it's so amazing where we can go.
I should have used AI to help me schedule my World of Concrete.
You should have.
I'm booked every day. But Craig, it is your turn. You've been sitting over there really quiet. It is your turn on the hot seat. Compared to changes in technology over the last few decades, what should producers expect in the next 5 to 10 years? Will any of the lessons we've learned help us face what's coming?
First of all, it's horribly unfair to follow Alex. He's smart, he's well-spoken, he's energetic. I'll do my best, guys. And this guy over here, I don't know what to say about. It's amazing. So I'm one of the people, and there's a couple of others here in the room that have lived through the technology in this industry. I'm one of the people that helped build those original batching machines coming from the card reader machine, if you all remember that. We put a card in a machine.
Was I born?
A batch, you were not.
You're a little baby.
We're a baby.
I was a baby. Okay, sorry.
And transitioning that to a major event called the Intel 286. It rocked the world. 10 megabyte hard drive. It really changed things. Then we had an iPhone. It rocked the world. It changed how we interacted as people. And now we have AI. And I'm telling you, it's rocking the world, and you are not going to put that back in the bottle. And there's good and there's bad. So let's start with some AI risks about our future. The biggest one is unintended consequences. Almost every other thing under AI, the fear, and you should be afraid, comes from unintended consequences. We just don't know where it's going to go in all the areas. And we've got to make sure we get this thing on a leash. So the next biggest thing is creating a workforce that depends and is over-reliant on AI. I'll talk to that in a moment. And they can't fundamentally function in their role without it. Therefore, if we have security problems with AI, if we have bad learning models, they're just going to do this way. It's not good. We have to guard against it. And if you think hacking is advanced now, hold on. Biden had phone calls being made on robocalls in New Hampshire that completely mimicked him. I don't know whether it was North Korea, Russia, China. I have no idea who did that. No one does. But it's spooky. And there are a lot of people that really thought Biden was calling them on this recording message. Amazing. And then we have the existential risks, which I can't say, sorry. And these are real. We're on the verge of creating a super intelligent thing. So remember the old Rutger Hauer movie, Blade Runner? Great movie. Terminator. Ooh. Guys, we're creating that stuff right now, so we've got to be careful. So what does it mean for our industry from someone like me that's been through it? I think the first thing we've got to stop worrying about as a group is interconnectivity and interoperability. It's there, it's technical hygiene. If you have a partner in technology right now that isn't aggressively interoperable and shares data, get rid of them. Fundamentally, the companies that don't do that, that don't wrap themselves around that axle, are going to go out of business. And that's what everyone in this group that we've created believes that it's your data and you do with it what you want and we'll get it to where you need it to be. Even if it threatens some things we're doing. Too bad. That's on us to make our stuff better. So I would say, number one about our future, don't worry about it. Those companies are going to die anyway, and they're going to die pretty quick. The next thing I'd say is we have to stop thinking about reactive. We're a reactive industry. Now, right? If we miss a load, it's gone forever. You're not getting it back. If it's late, the liability is huge. If you do something bad to the plastic state of the country in shipping, you lose it. And worse, you might have to do rip and replace on some pretty gnarly things. We're a now industry, and almost everything is reactive. What we have to be looking for is technology that makes it predictive. It's a huge transition that it's a hard mind shift, going from reactive to predictive. And by predictive, I mean, let's take some simple things. If we have sensors on belts, on the bearings on belts, simple thing, heat sensor, vibration, we could predict when that belt's going to break. Instead of doing preventative maintenance, which is over expensive, and instead of having a break fix, which is hugely expensive depending on when it happens. Doing predictive maintenance is critical. Doing predictive analytics of our mixes and our deliveries and our customer behavior, predictive analytics of our customer behavior. This is huge.
Can I just quickly,
No.
sorry, I'm going to
No.
jump. See,
No.
less than truckload, like the last mile, like the ODFLs, the Ciscos, they are the best in the world at it.
Yeah.
So predictive.
He never listens to me.
Yeah, so no, just wanted to,
Ever. But that's why,
just wanted to say that
Yeah,
we're not as good as the industry is.
yeah, we're getting there.
Yeah, we're trying.
So, again, we've got to not worry about the interoperability is going to be there. We have to worry about predictive as opposed to reactive. And then, what does this mean to your company? What does this mean to your people? It's going to compress it. I mean, I can't put a happy face on and say there will be no disruption in your company. I can't put a happy face on and say there are roles in your company right now that will cease to exist. And everyone says, oh, they can find a better job somewhere else. It's not always a happy story. And we're going to go through that. The good news about concrete is there is so much human application required. It's not as broad. Like, if you're a programmer right now on a low level for technology, you better be shaken and scared. If you're in graphic arts, you should be shaken and scared. But we can't replace whole scale like that, but we will lose things. And here's what's going to happen. In organizational compression, now everyone will have at their fingertips abilities to enhance their decision making through predictive analytics. So instead of calling the middle manager, instead of saying, hey boss, what do I do? Because I think you probably noticed in our industry things go wrong on a routine basis and it slows things down. They're going to have it right there in front of them. They're going to be lower level people. We can push decision making out to the fringes and get rid of whole middle grounds of people that are clogging that up throughout the bureaucracies. Corps of Engineers would be the classic voodoo doll to PIM. And really compress that organization. And along with the compression of the organization comes the real win. It's compression of time. And by compressing the time, we make things far more predictable. It's a closed loop. So as we can make better decisions faster, we take less time. And construction projects are usually a Greek tragedy of all these delays going on, stacking up. So we're going to be quicker. We're going to be leaner, with the consequence of losing those jobs, and we need to be looking to be predictive with the tools you get. So I know it's not the big happy smiley face, I'm not energetic like these guys, I realize it, but I really think that's where we're headed. And companies that produce technology like we do, everyone up here, the ones especially that are the heart and lungs of going on, they have to be brave. They have to be brave and say, it's your information, and if you can find someone to do this part better than you, if Dean comes up with a better predictive analytic stuff than we have in our software, you have to be free to stop using what we're having in that small area and plug his in. Have to. It's absolutely critical in this here. And it takes people that are perhaps not in the same mindset of how it's been in the industry for a long time.
Right,
Well said. That's the spiel, guys.
When you say predictive analytics, can you kind of put that into a context? How are we looking? How far into the future are we looking, or are we kind of just taking the data and predicting on what's going to happen from that?
Okay, so first of all, we're there. We can do it now in a lot of ways. Secondly, when we do predictive analytics, we have very short-term predictive as well, and then we can have long-term. So one of the key things we need to think about is not just predicting whether a belt breaks or a mix is right or we can reduce cement reliably here or there. It's our customers. What's the single biggest variable cost you have? It's those customers holding your trucks and canceling a job or not calling it in before 10 minutes prior. Oh, they're a good customer, we're gonna have to find trucks. And you short the guys that don't do much business and you piss them off. About the guys that perpetually don't pay on time, or they argue everything, they cut it. The guys that do all sorts of things, they make promises about their behavior, they don't know how to use a measuring stick. Okay, oh my gosh, 5 bump loads on a 100-yard, it's crazy. Okay, so we know their behavior right now. We know it. Your order data, your ticket data, your financial data, you know where that is. And the predictive analytics have a longer scope when we start looking at engaging to do business with certain people and the impact on your EBITDA. That is an okay word, guys?
Yes, and the good thing about that is grounding. So knowing that the data, it's very important for us to be able to, all of us as an industry, to be able to know when we're wrong. So you can understand it. So you get this grounding truth and you learn from it. So, and the great thing about it is the scale of this is it can keep learning, and you have that dispatcher or the safety or whomever it is can trust that data and understand it. So it's really important that we have to expose that data.
Okay, so in that predictive in the long term, if we look at our EBITDA distribution for big companies, it's got to be kind of big jobs. It has to be small, because if you're not good at estimating and you do bad quotes and sloppy quotes, you're going to go out of business. Yep. The smaller jobs, the tiny ones that are routine, have a bigger EBITDA scatter, negative to positive, because you don't have as many eyeballs on it, you don't have as much time, but you're prone to losing more money on those individually. So it's got a funnel. It starts from small customers to big, and it funnels in, and hopefully that funnel tail is above zero. Otherwise, you're not going to be around. And what we can do with predictive analytics, especially for customers, is we can move up the bottom negative layer of the EBITDA curves. We can flatten that out and try to work everybody into positive. But I'll caution you can't. I mean, it's going to happen. But we can get rid of a lot of that variability, and these are long-term analytic predictives for a specific customer in a work type, in a profile of who they are, in their experience with you, doing a credit check from the credit records, all influence this. So it's not about so much concrete as it is human behavior. And if you think your financial department is the business prevention department right now, wait till we have predictive analytics.
Yeah. And where the predictive analytics will live is one spot. You will ask it and it'll come back. So it's your relationship with this information. So, we'll call it EROAD AI, whatever. I don't like the chatbot. It's not the chatbot that we used to think about, from a from a customer services thing. So you'll ask it, you'll come back. You want it presented in a presentation layer and you can write functions that can absolutely tailor to what you need. And so that's a cool thing, because we're going to share this data, we're going to share this knowledge. I've learnt it, we're going to share it. And that's the beauty about this partnership.
Yeah, the last thing I want to bring up, and I'll be quiet, is we're all subconsciously menu driven here. Every one of us. We go to the phone. You ever try to change something on your iPhone? What a pain. You got to go settings, drill down, all this stuff. You got to remember it. It's hard. And everything we're doing in life right now is menu driven. Amazon, you name it, Netflix. And if it's not in the menu, you lose. Or if you can't find it, more likely. This is a big shift. We're going to be able to talk into the phone. We're doing it in dispatch right now, where somebody can talk into their phone in their native language, Spanish, Portuguese, Polish, whatever, Chinese, make a request, it round trips to dispatch. If it has to involve a human there, which often it does, it'll translate it to the dispatcher's language, and give them check boxes to choose or not, and then round trip back in the native language. So think about dynamiting the menuing world that we're all trained to think from small children at this point. It's going to go away. People are just going to talk into their phone or their watch, and they're going to get an answer. And that is highly dependent on natural language processing, AI, as well as the search for the answers. And it's coming. It's coming.
I really, really hope there is a interface like Clippy that asks me, it looks like you're going to produce a PLC. Can you do this? You did bring up a kind of rather horrifying term that I'd like the tire panel to comment towards. And what is, it was a really good term, and I think we're going to have dreams about this. Well, what is an unintended consequence? Sarah, go ahead.
There you go.
Hallucination.
Yeah.
Probably the easiest.
I think there's an interesting story, and obviously I think all of us try to follow what's going on with AI in other industries because they're doing it, maybe a little bit faster, and we can learn from that. We can repurpose it and use it for our own. So I was really following the Sam Altman from OpenAI. He was terminated in November. Does anyone know that story? Just show of hands. Okay, like half. Yeah. So Sam Altman was the founder of OpenAI. That's our ChatGPT that we're all using. Over the last year, he's been very, very vocal about the importance of legislation because, with everything that we have ever done, there's, Hiroshima, for example, was the reason we got nuclear under control. He's very adamant about we do not want to have that happen for us to get this under control. Now, a lot of people, myself included, I was very skeptical about what his true intentions were because that can be used as marketing. You can say, this is what we're doing to put ourselves ahead of the cause and to show look, we're so altruistic, and it could have been part of their marketing to kind of get above Google and Meta and the other companies in that space. But then Sam was fired by the board in November. And the big reason was because he was going out and he was acting in not the best interest of the shareholders, because he was very adamant about the things that need to be done to get this under control, and it was not necessarily in the best interest of building your total addressable market and actually, expanding your reach. So he was fired over this. And then 3 weeks later, he was rehired back because all 500 of his employees signed a petition to say, we will walk if you do not bring him back. And this is a very interesting story because that, to me at least, gave me the confidence that, wow, he actually believes that we need to put legislation. He truly is, he's actually acting in the best interest, and that's so rare of a tech CEO to do. Really, when people get to the top, they have these big visions of what they want to do, but then you get to the top and corruption happens and money, you chase money, and that's the epitome of a lot of different stories that we have. Opioid crisis is a really good example that's getting a lot of heat right now. But that was kind of proving the point of, wow, he actually really does believe this, and we should really start listening to what he's saying, and everybody should really be working together on that. Because I would say one of the unintended consequences, Craig, you brought it up very well, there's a lot of hacking that's happening. And what's going to happen if we don't get our firewalls in place and we don't educate the market about what's happening, when AI gets a hold of these things, it's going to be much, much worse. So I kind of always pivot the conversation back to cybersecurity. If you are working with suppliers on anything right now, you should be asking them, where does your data live? What are your employees' training doing? There's a lot of questions that you should be asking of everyone, because we're probably not asking those questions, or we're probably not thinking about it, but it's really, really important to build that now, because that would be, to me, I would see that being the Hiroshima of AI is what the hacking could do. But that can happen right now. It's not just AI. So these are questions that we should be really vocal about across the board.
Alex?
Well, I'm just going to comment, to keep the humanity on it, as we fall into the managed public door of these new tools, let's remember they are tools. Stay focused on what our goals are and what the inputs are. If we get down that road and we say, it keeps telling us new things, well, what are we putting into it? I don't know. Well, what are we asking it to do? It's just telling us. That's when I think you start to really, get away from the humanity, letting the machines take over. So keeping in mind, we have goals, let's set those goals, use the tool to achieve those goals.
You have to be responsible, right?
Yeah, so that you're going to learn a new dialect. It's called RAG, Retrieval Augmented Generation. So that's the cool thing, is that that's your data. So it's our responsibility to introduce these RAGs. That's your data, so you feel much more comfortable that it's not going out to the abyss. It's not going to your competition and go, ooh, we're seeing a bit over here, and we're seeing lots and lots of movement. And your competition, who may be slightly larger, is actually understanding what you're doing. So the RAGs are bringing it in. So retrieval augmented generation, you'll understand that. So down the track.
Alex, what would be an unintended consequence?
I mean, just like everybody on this panel, I think, the thing with machine learning, and please, Dean, correct me if I'm wrong, because, you're certainly more advanced on that end, is, and I actually saw something, I think it's all a matter of responsibility. Like, if I take Marcotte for an example, say it, very basic words is, we had a goal. We knew exactly what we wanted to solve, right? So, being the fact that you know exactly what you want to solve because you went through that data structure, you made those trends, you understood those patterns, you're able to bring those algorithms responsibly and saying, okay, this is what we want to solve, right? I've seen things where, again, this technology is moving so fast, guys. That's the problem. It's moving so fast. Even for people like us, who are very, very focused in a business function, it's moving faster than we can actually keep up with. I've seen an article at one point where they were actually looking into trying to find what the actual algorithm, based on its patterns, taking decisions, right? And it's very easy when you're talking programming, right? So if then, right? If this happens, do that. Very simple for us to say, oh, well, that was a condition. Problem with machine learning at one point is that it takes its own decision.
Yeah, it does.
It does. And you're trying to backtrack and trying to find, why did it take this path? And it's so intelligent because it's predicting so much well in advance that even the human being would probably take 10 years, right, to understand why it took that decision.
Yeah, it's using reinforcement. Yeah. So we're the LLM side of ChatGPT. And if you have these agents, what it does is it starts to learn, like, it's a specific agent of, like, let's say it's customer service. So it knows that you're a customer service person, and it literally will understand exactly what you're doing because you write functions we can control, keywords we can control it. But what it does is it goes, oh, no, you got it wrong, you got it wrong, got it right. That's a big, and now it reinforces, now it gets to a level of intelligence that it goes beyond our human capability, and which is good, and it's dangerous.
Yeah, that's why we have to be responsible. We have to understand the technology and what we're doing with it, right? So again, like anything else out there, you say, so well, like just go back to the PCs. When PCs came along, we were opening up our doors to the internet, viruses came along, right? There's always people in this society that's gonna try to take this technology and do something bad with it here, right? So again, that's where you partner up with people that understand your industry, understand what our goal is to be able to control that technology.
So I would like to bring it to the audience as, are there any questions for the panel? Right here.
On this current topic, I'm actually curious what you guys think about regulatory capture in this part of the technology industry. I know Sam will obviously was in front of Congress, and software has largely been unregulated, right? Very easy to innovate. You don't have to have a lot of barriers to buff up against. If we start regulating, separate from cybersecurity, but if we start having mechanism for approval of these models, is there some concern that only the big folks in the world can actually do anything with them, right? And I'm kind of curious about your thoughts on
The problem with without regulation on AI is it can end very badly for many people.
Yeah.
The problem with regulation, which we're going to have is the federal government has decades, maybe even centuries in the U.S. of making very poor decisions about who the winners and losers are, especially in the private sector. Yeah, it takes forever. Correct.
That's why the regs got the retrieval augmented generation. So those little closure things. That's why you'll see a tremendous build up on that. The Sam Altmans, you'll see those guys. Some of the models that they're building now, you literally can go, boom, I want a customer service, I want a dispatch. Not quite what we need, but it's literally, they're trying to do that now. I'm with Greg, it's we're going to have a couple of steps backwards. So we're going to go, oh, way, yay, oh, bugger.
I'm kind of curious, how would you regulate this?
I think Europe will lead it through, Davos. I listened to fucking hours of it last week. Sorry. I did. I'm not.
Too many years in the industry.
Yeah, exactly. And it's our job to do that. It's our job to do that. And you listen to them. You see the Sams. You see the Elons and Mike and the prime ministers, the presidents. It's extremely. The good news is that they're talking about it. And they're very serious about it. So there will be regulation, and Europe will lead it, just like they did. And
I wish you go from talking Elon Musk to talking about this.
Yeah. He wants to open source it, and he loved to open source it, and they will. I mean, you look at Ray. Ray is the most amazing tech that will solve a lot of problems in its open source. You haven't heard about Ray, but you'll watch.
I'd like to bring it out to anybody else have any questions. We have time for one more.
I have a question. You guys are bringing interoperability to a new level. There's automation that's being built into the solutions. So now you can theoretically, maybe one solution from one company could drive consequences in the ecosystem that could create action. Are you guys working together at any level on information security, cybersecurity, to prevent one company's weaknesses from a security perspective from influencing or impacting security downstream?
We just went through what's the equivalent of a proctology exam. It's called SOC 2.
Yes. Oh my God.
This is
It's hard.
Okay, and
It's hard.
Ryan, who's sitting back there, managed it for us.
Oh, did you?
So he got the worst part of the exam. And I would encourage you to work with your IT security departments to have a list of all the things companies should be doing, including SOC 2, to protect that data.
And it's a $500,000 spend each company. So we're doing it as well. It's a $500,000. It's 18 months. It is so important.
Yeah,
it's a great question.
No, it's perpetual.
Yeah.
We have to budget for it. So there are things that are just basic hygiene that I'd encourage you to work with your IT and security experts on and insist that the people who provide technology to you have. You're exactly right, Olivia.
Yeah.
If he's not protecting your data and I'm relying on that data, it will cascade through the system because then when he takes it from me, he'll think it's good.
Right.
Yeah. Or worse.
Yeah. And you'll teach what's going to happen in, it's not quite yet, it's going to be about 3 years. We're going to call data meshing. So data domains. So each domain data will have a contract. And there'll be standards that we'll adhere to. And the good news is there's an amazing woman, I can't remember her name, an amazing woman who's invented this process. and she's perfecting an algorithm. She's using use cases, and it's very, very close. So end of 24, you'll see that, and then we will talk together with you guys about data meshing and data as a contract. Your data, how do you control it? And yes, AI will be there. AI is not the be-all, end-all. It's going to solve one or two things. Data meshing is going to be the big one. I promise you. Yeah.
I think we're just about out of, oh, Chris?
One last closing thing. A really smart guy that I used to work with would say this often, and he was always right. He goes, when confronted with something new, it's never going to be as good as you think it will be, and it will never be as bad. And as we're talking about all these scary topics, that especially holds when you hire people too. But that aside, don't fret too much. It won't be as scary, it won't be as useful, but it will be useful, and we can't put the lid back on it.
That just brings us to we're out about a time. That made no sense. Thank you very much for your insights, panelists. It's been a great conversation. Thank you all for attending the second Tech Innovations Breakfast. There are some shuttles outside at 10 o'clock. We'll bring everybody back to World of Concrete so we can check out everybody's booths. You can find our panelists at these booths and these websites. Thank you very much for coming.
Thanks, guys.